Obviously, if we can stop terrorism from coming to our shores, and make no mistake about it, the form of jihadi extremism that we see with ISIS is not going to be satisfied carving out territory and governing it across the borders of Iraq and Syria. They want to bring the fight to Europe and the fight to the United States.
All right, folks, I played that because our next guest, Noah Rothman, associate editor for HotAir.com, has a great piece out today about how the Pentagon is sugarcoating the situation in Iraq, and that was Hillary, of all people, of course. Hey, Noah, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good to talk to you. So I don't want to, that was a few weeks ago, but I don't want to say Hillary gets it and the Pentagon doesn't. But talk about what the Pentagon is doing to, in your view, sugarcoat this whole thing.
Yeah, well, there's been some really actually good news out of northern Syria and Kobani, where they released a variety of weapons and supplies to the Kurds via the air. The Turks opened up the border in a surprise move this morning. And it's been a veritable meat grinder. They've really been just drawing in ISIS fighters and doing a significant amount of damage to those fighters. But the news is not so great in Iraq, where there has been significant concerns over sectarianism, over reprisals. The Iraqi security forces are not very reliable. They're melting away. The Shia rebels, which are linked to the Sadr militias in Baghdad and to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, are executing reprisal attacks on Sunnis, which is inflaming the situation and emboldening ISIS and actually swelling their ranks in places like Abu Ghraib. And we're learning today that the Pentagon is saying, Rear Admiral Kirby was on MSNBC today saying that the Iraqi security forces are doing a significantly better job of shoring up the defenses around Baghdad. But there's car bombs and roadside attacks that are going off every day, sometimes multiple times a day, and they're actually resulting in the casualties of not just civilians, but of significant important individuals like police chiefs and ministers of parliament. So things are not going especially well in Iraq, and that appears to be where the real prize is for ISIS as they move on Baghdad.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. All right, let's move on. You got a lot of great stuff here. I want to try to get to it all. Two pieces that really go together. One, that Ebola has revealed that the CDC is a disaster. And then, of course, Barack Obama appointing a political hack, nothing more than a political operative who reportedly was instrumental in the whole Solyndra scandal. He's now running the whole thing instead of someone like a Colin Powell or someone like a Ray Kelly from New York. Anyone with any gravitas, he picks this guy.
Yeah, I'm willing to withhold a little bit of judgment on that just for now. I don't know the guy very well, and he did serve as a chief of staff. He was mostly a political operator, but he has served as a chief of staff in 2 White Houses. And chiefs of staff are generally pretty good at managing competing claims across federal agencies, which is really what the job is going to be here. So I'm withholding judgment, but the Solyndra thing is very lamentable. He was instrumental in allowing the president to go speak and back up the solvency of Solyndra, which turned out to be a really big bad move on his part, among other things. But the CDC's response to this crisis has been actually rather lamentable. They've been behaving like any other federal agency would, managing a public relations crisis, not a first responder responding to a major health crisis. We didn't know that the CDC had okayed the travel of Amber Vinson from Texas to Ohio. It had to be a local investigation, a cursory local investigation that uncovered it. We didn't know that the CDC didn't tell the Frontier Airlines that they had a carrier on board that plane until it had made 5 different runs. And then the CDC kind of puts its tail between his legs. Director Tom Frieden puts his tail between his legs and behaves like a bureaucrat, an embattled bureaucrat. That's not what we expect from the CDC in a crisis like this. And frankly, we're lucky it was Ebola, not something that spreads farther, faster, and kills more, that exposed the weaknesses in the CDC.
And of course, he blamed the nurse, the first nurse who caught it for violating protocol. And then it turned out there really was none. I want to get to Jeffrey Toobin here, interviewing President Obama and asking him if he wanted to be on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, nobody really asked. No, this isn't really on the docket here, to borrow a court term. But it would really take a perfect storm of events that seem pretty unlikely to happen for the president to be nominated to the bench of the Supreme Court, let alone confirmed. But there's kind of rumors that always swirl around a president who has any sort of law experience, whether or not they're eventually going to be appointed to the Supreme Court, like William Howard Taft. There's a reason why only Taft is the only sitting president to have ever served on the Supreme Court bench. But yeah, if you were curious about his interest in the court, President Obama believes it would be just a little too limiting. He called it monastic, I believe. And he likes to get out there.
Yeah, because golfing season is kind of coincides with when the court's in session. Anyway, Noah, always great to talk to you, sir. Appreciate it, folks. Before we go, should the U.S. have a travel ban on West African nations? I want you to vote on this, and do that by going to newsmax.com/polls. Newsmax.com/polls. Coming up next, senior political analyst for the Washington Examiner, Michael Barone. Don't miss it.